What truly separates the really exceptional leaders from, well, everyone else?
Hmm.
Is it just charisma or, deep expertise? Maybe just pure drive?
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. But our deep dive today, looking at Gunther Williams' LinkedIn post on leadership transformation, it suggests something else, something maybe more fundamental.
That's right.
The post is called Shifting from Self-Deception to Serving Others. And our mission here is really to unpack this powerful idea, this mindset shift. It's not just theory, there are real results behind it.
Absolutely. And to really get us started, we need to understand the problem Williams is talking about, this idea of self-deception,
Okay.
or sometimes the Arbinger Institute calls it being trapped in the box.
Trapped in the box. What does that mean, practically speaking?
Well, it's basically seeing the world, and especially other people, through a kind of distorted lens.
Mhm.
So when you're in this box, you tend to view people more like objects, things to be managed maybe, or even obstacles blocking your own goals.
Oof, not as human beings.
Exactly. Not as people with their own, needs, challenges, hopes,
Hmm.
the whole package.
And how does that play out, like in a team meeting?
Well, those meetings can become really frustrating. It feels like you're just trying to get people to comply, just tick the boxes.
Right, instead of actual collaboration.
Precisely. And the really tricky part, this inward mindset where it's all about my needs, my objectives,
Hmm.
it can actually create the very problems the leader is trying to solve
Ah, okay. So you end up wondering why engagement is low.
without realizing your own approach might be contributing to it.
Yeah, that's a really powerful idea. Being trapped, seeing people as objects, it sounds, well, pretty tough for a leader, especially if you're trying to make things better.
It is.
So if that's the problem, the self-deception, what's the way out? How do you, break free? Williams talks about an outward mindset.
Exactly. That's the antidote she proposes.
So digging into that box a bit more.
Yep.
You mentioned the core issue is failing to see others as human.
That's the heart of it, yeah. You're just not acknowledging their unique viewpoints or their struggles or what they actually aspire to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what leads directly to that frustration leaders feel. Why isn't my team performing? Why aren't they getting it?
Because you're not seeing them.
Right. If you don't see them as individuals with lives and needs outside of just their job function, it's really hard for them to connect with your goals or give their best effort.
Okay, that makes sense. A recipe for frustration, like you said. So this outward mindset, what does that actually mean? How do you make that shift from me focus to we focus?
It means actively shifting your focus, moving away from just your agenda, your needs,
Uh-huh.
towards genuinely seeing, understanding, and wanting to contribute to the needs, the challenges, the goals of others,
Uh-huh.
your team members.
And you mentioned this isn't just like soft skills advice.
No, definitely not just feel-good stuff. There's actual data. Williams points out that organizations deliberately putting these outward mindset principles into practice, they report significant jumps. We're talking up to 30% increases in collaboration and innovation.
Wow, 30%. That's
Yeah.
substantial.
It really is. It shows it's not just about being nice. It's about driving real, measurable results.
But I can imagine some leaders might hear outward mindset, serving others, and think it sounds a bit, well, maybe not tough enough for the business world, with deadlines and pressure.
That's a common reaction, sure.
Uh.
But think about it differently. Imagine an entire organization where people are genuinely looking out for each other's success, not just covering their own backs.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That kind of environment, that's where real breakthroughs happen. So it's not about being soft. It's actually incredibly strategic and changes the whole dynamic. It's a powerful lever.
That makes the connection clearer. And Williams links this outward mindset to another concept, Bob Burg's go-giver leader, which sounds like it gets even more practical. Leading by giving, creating value first. How does that look day to day for a leader?
Yeah, and Williams gives a fantastic, really concrete example from his coaching.
Oh, good. Like a case study.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
He worked with this tech executive. She was super frustrated, felt her team just wasn't showing any initiative.
Okay, classic problem.
Classic problem. And she was likely stuck in that inward mindset thinking, why aren't they doing what I need?
Right. How can they serve my goals?
Exactly that. The transformation started when she consciously flipped that question. She started asking, how can I help them succeed?
Subtle shift, but huge implications.
Huge, moving from demanding to serving. It completely changed the energy, the whole dynamic within the team.
And did it work? What were the results?
Incredible results, actually.
Yeah.
Williams tracked it. In just 6 months, employee engagement shot up 25%.
25%.
Yeah. And turnover dropped significantly.
Wow. So a direct line from her internal shift to the team's external performance?
Absolutely undeniable. It really shows how much a leader's internal state radiates outwards.
That serving aspect also seems connected to another idea Williams brings in: conversational capacity, from Craig Weber.
Yes, that's a crucial piece.
What exactly is conversational capacity? It sounds important.
It's basically the skill, the ability to have those tough, necessary conversations.
Uh-huh. The awkward ones.
Yeah, the awkward ones, the high-stakes ones. To have them openly, honestly, productively, without people shutting down or getting defensive or, going on the attack.
Okay. That balance sounds tricky but essential. Why is it so critical for leaders? What goes wrong without it?
Well, connecting it back, it's fundamentally about building trust.
Right.
Weber's research shows leaders who get good at this balance being candid, direct, honest, and being genuinely curious about the other person's view.
Candor and curiosity.
Exactly. Those leaders see around 20% better conflict resolution.
20% better. That's significant.
And just overall healthier team dynamics. Because when people feel safe enough to speak up, to challenge ideas, to voice concerns without fear, that's where trust builds. And trust is the bedrock of any high-performing team.
So we're talking about seeing people as people, shifting to serve them, building conversational capacity. It sounds like a deep transformation. Williams says it isn't easy.
He's very clear about that.
What does it really demand from a leader? It's more than just reading a book, I assume.
Oh, definitely. It demands, first off, rigorous self-awareness. Like really digging into your own biases, your triggers, your motivations. Why do you react the way you do?
That takes work.
It does, and it requires vulnerability. Being willing to say, I might be wrong here, or I don't have the answer, or even admitting how your actions might be part of the problem.
That's tough for a lot of leaders.
It is, and maybe the biggest thing, consistent practice. This isn't a switch you flip. It's an ongoing commitment, day in, day out, to operating differently.
So self-awareness, vulnerability, practice.
But the payoff. Williams argues it's huge. Teams that truly collaborate, cultures built on real trust, sustainable success. He calls it the most important work a leader can do.
And that leads back to his core message: transformation starts with you.
Yes.
So for you listening right now, maybe feeling some of these frustrations, what's the very first practical step? Where do you begin?
It means the absolute first step isn't looking at your team members and thinking, how can I fix them? Or what development do they need?
Okay. So not starting with them.
Not starting with them, starting with you. Examining honestly how you might be contributing, even unintentionally, to the problems you see.
Ouch. That requires some humility.
It does. The fundamental shift is moving away from seeing people mainly as, like, vehicles to get you where you want to go.
Vehicles for your success, I think was the phrase.
That's it. Shifting from that to genuinely wanting to serve their growth, help them succeed, help them achieve their potential.
And that's how you unlock potential.
Potential you might not even realize is there. It's about enabling them, truly.
Yeah. And Williams wraps this up with what he calls the great paradox of leadership, which sounds intriguing.
It really is. It's profoundly counterintuitive.
Which is?
The moment you stop being so focused on yourself, your metrics, your career, your needs, and you truly commit to the growth and success of the people around you, your team, something amazing happens.
Okay.
You don't just become, a nicer person. You actually become infinitely more effective as a leader.
More effective by focusing less on your own effectiveness.
Exactly. Your influence grows when you stop trying to hoard it or control everything. It's paradoxical, but powerful. Thinking about that can really change how you approach your role.
Wow. That is a paradox worth mulling over. So this deep dive really highlights that profound impact, doesn't it? Shifting from that self-deception, that box, to a mindset built on service, on collective growth. It's not about quick tricks.
Not at all.
It's a fundamental change in how you see people, how you see your role.
Well,
and it leads to real, measurable benefits for the whole organization.
absolutely. And maybe a final thought for you to take away from this. Think about a challenge you're facing right now with your team, or just in your leadership approach generally.
Okay.
Now, what new ideas, what new possibilities might open up if you consciously approach that specific challenge? Not from the usual place of, okay, what do I need from them to solve this?
Right.
But instead, ask yourself, how can I help them succeed and grow through this challenge? It might just unlock a completely different path forward.